Hey guys, so welcome back. It's me, James, again, and Serene from Be Strong Coaching, and here is a brief overview of the basics of fat loss nutrition. Okay, so if you haven't done the introduction to getting started along with your goal setting, make sure that you head back across, watch that so you're all set up. You have your apps downloaded to track your progress, and then we're ready to roll. Okay, so module one, like I said, is a quick overview. And we'll discuss some of the upcoming modules as well. So this is just to make sure that you're absolutely super clear on all of the basics of fat loss. Okay, so what is on the agenda? So firstly, what we want to do is go over the terms and definitions. We want to be able to really identify what these crazy words are, what they mean, and the certain things that we could be misinterpreting. So we're going to talk about the fat loss hierarchy. And what we want to do is for you to basically take a screenshot of in your mind and picture this all the time, okay? Refer back to this. There's going to be lots of small details that people focus on when it comes to losing weight. There is a very specific hierarchy that you need to follow that's scientifically proven, so don't allow the small things to distract you when really you should just be focusing on those basics. Adherence and why it is so important for you to stick to the plan and how you actually stick to a plan. We're going to talk about energy balance, the amount of food that you take in versus the amount of food that you expend, which is basically exercise, and why that's important, okay? We're going to go over naked foods versus processed foods, the two opposing food groups, meal timing and frequency, and then we're going to talk about supplements. So with all that said, let's jump in with the definitions.
Okay, so healthy eating, what on earth is it? Okay, we hear about it all the time. The definition of this is it's crucial to have a balanced diet that promotes the correct, optimal operation of structures and systems in the body. Okay, so that on the chemical level is giving us everything that we need. So it isn't eating good food for one day or 1 week, it's eating to a lifestyle that makes you feel good and makes you function at your best. Diet. So, believe it or not, it doesn't mean starving yourself or cutting your calories. Diet is simply your current food intake and habits. It's that big word that we hear thrown around all the time and everyone curses about it. But it's actually just the food you're eating on a daily basis. Okay, that could be an apple or it could be 7 Big Macs. That is your diet. Macronutrients. So, this is a term where things get a little more complex, and we're going to be talking about it a lot more in the next couple of modules. Okay, so these are the energy nutrients that we eat, and they're broken into three main groups: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And there's actually a fourth one, which is a little bit of a secret one that most people forget about, and that is alcohol. It has an energy value to it, and it has lots of calories to it. So alcohol is also a macronutrient. And finally, we've got micronutrients. So these don't have a huge amount of energy in them, but they do provide your body with the vitamins and minerals that allow your body to be healthy and run optimally. Okay, so healthy eating rather, diet, macronutrients and micronutrients are all make up all the basics, okay? And they're really important that we know what they are and what they mean.
So earlier I talked about this fat loss hierarchy, and this is what I really want you to take a screenshot in your mind of. Okay, so many people get confused with all of these things when all they really need to be focusing on is the basics at the bottom. So most people generally think when they want to lose weight, they need to go buy some supplements. They go buy, weight loss powders, potions, pills, all these crazy things, thinking that it's going to get them quick results. They spend a ton of money, do it for a week, lose a load of weight because they've starved themselves, nothing to do with the actual supplements that they've bought, and then they pile it all back on again when they start eating normal foods. So they've wasted all that money on a load of pointless crap. I'm not saying that supplements aren't important. They do play a role, but more often than not, you'd just be better off investing your money into good quality food. The next thing, as you can see there, is nutrient timing. So this means that when you eat your food, again, how many times, things people have got caught up in this, that you shouldn't eat carbs after 6 p.m. There's loads of other ridiculous myths out there, especially things with like intermittent fasting as well, eating at a certain window. What happens if you eat your food, 5 minutes outside of your window? Does it ruin everything? Again, all of these things, they're such small variables on this hierarchy. So get the lower levels nailed before attempting the stuff that's above, that's a bit more trickier, basically. After that, moving up, we've got macronutrients, so the actual breakdown of your calories to protein, fats, and carbs. Which percentages you have of each, ratios you're consuming. That's what we're going to look at next. Okay, this is going to determine your performance, how well you recover, how well you feel, your energy. All of these things are going to be linked to macronutrients, but we've still got to focus on those lower levels. The next one, this is a big one, okay? So the actual amount of food that you're eating, this is going to affect how your body looks. If you overeat on anything, even spinach, which would be very hard to do, but let's just say that your body takes 2,000 calories to maintain its weight. If you were to eat 4,000 calories of spinach, those calories have got to go somewhere. And the majority of things, when you overeat, if it doesn't get burned, it will get stored as fat. Okay, so energy balance is real important. And lastly, one which I expect a lot of you didn't even think about is adherence. Okay, everything on this pyramid is completely irrelevant without it. It's that simple. If you can't stick to it, it's just not even worth bothering. Okay, so ask yourself this: any nutritional changes that you make or diets that you embark on, just ask yourself, can you stick to this for the rest of your life? And if it's a no that you can't, then you're never going to succeed.
Okay, so adherence. It's so simple. The best diet in the world is the one that you can stick to. There is nothing else to say here, but if you don't stick to your diet, you will not succeed. The best one in the world is the one you can stick to and be consistent with. Always ask yourself the question, can I stick to this way of eating for the rest of my life? It's that simple. So from adherence, we move to food quantity along with the energy balance. And this comes down to the simple equation of energy in versus energy out. So how many calories are we taking in versus how many are we expending? There is no two ways around this. So as soon as you've got adherence nailed, it comes down to the amount of food you're eating versus the amount of exercise and training you're doing. So the body has to be expending more energy than it's consuming for weight loss. Energy is measured in calories. So when we are in what we call a calorie deficit, we are consuming less calories than we are expending and we lose weight. When we are burning more calories, when we are eating more calories than we are burning, we are then in a calorie surplus and we gain weight. So if you're eating more than your body needs, like we said earlier, it's got to be stored somewhere. That's all fat is. It's just stored energy.
Common objections that we find with this protocol. So people will say that it isn't that simple, and they are right to a large part, but I don't want you to get caught up in this because a lot of people say that it's more than just calories. Okay, so how can we accurately measure energy in versus energy out? So we've got our apps and our scales, and we'll be weighing our food. There's always going to be a bit of a margin for error. We can't be 100% accurate. It's just not that possible. Our body isn't a machine, and it's going to adapt to its environment. So an example of this would be if you're like a 100-meter sprinter and you're running in a wind tunnel, your body is still going to be running the same distance, but it's going to be spending a lot more energy running into that headwind than it's going to be doing it on a perfectly still day outside. So even though you're running the same distance, your body has got to use a lot more energy. Okay, so this is the same for food. If you start starving your body after years and years and years of crash dieting, and your metabolism is going to be a bit shot, you're not going to be using as much fuel. Okay, so your body will be using less fuel to survive, which isn't a good thing. So we've got to take that into consideration as well. So that's whenever we start people off on your nutrition programs, we try and get people to eat as much food to begin with, just to try and give your body a little bit of a reboost. And then finally, what does it mean in real life? Okay, how do your hormones affect things? The cravings we feel. What about the absorption of nutrients, the utilization of nutrients? For example, if you have a gluten intolerance or if you're celiac, you're not going to uptake all of the nutrients from certain foods. So it's not all about calories. But as a base level, 99.99999% of the time, for a lot of you, it is going to come back to calories.
So food quality is the next thing we need to look at. So foods containing the same amount of energy or calories will have different effects on the body. So for example, if I gave you 1,000 calories of ice cream, and if I gave you 1,000 calories of chicken breast, and I gave you 10 minutes to eat each of them, you could probably finish the ice cream, but you probably couldn't finish the chicken. That's because the chicken is so much more satiating. So we know that the makeup of food does have a part to play with digestion, on how we feel, what our cravings are like, etc. So it's important to understand that food quality and makeup affects all of these things. So we must consume better quality foods, and we call these naked foods. That's what we're going to go over in a second, and these want to be 80% of the time. So 80% of your calorie intake should come from naked foods, which are all single ingredient whole foods. So the goal is to replace higher calorie, low nutrient dense foods with low calorie, more nutrient dense alternative foods. That's always the goal. We want to make sure we're getting as many nutrients and enough food as we can against overall calories.
And that brings us to meal timing and frequency. So the next thing that we're going to look at is timing, which is essentially what time of the day we consume certain nutrients. So an example of this would be pushing your carbohydrates around your workout. Do you have them in the morning? Do you have them in the evening? We then want to look at what frequency, how often do we eat? Do we eat them with all meals? How many meals do I have each day? It could be 3 meals a day, it could be 5 meals a day. So if you look at your total calories, it's going to be the same, over the whole of your day. It's just how you divide them across how many meals you want. So if you've got 1,500 calories and you eat 3 meals, that could be 3 meals of 500 calories. If you have 5 meals a day, that could be 300 calories. So just as a side note, if you're not eating 3 to 5 meals a day and you have time to, we would highly recommend that you set up your nutrition plan to do 4 or 5 meals, okay? That's a very simple change that will dramatically change your energy, your food cravings, keep your blood sugars stable, and it's a very, very easy, quick fix, okay? So if you're currently only eating 2 or 3 meals a day, push that to 4 or 5, okay? Knock out some of those little pointless snacks and actually have balanced meals.
Supplementation. So now we're moving all the way to the top of the pyramid. And this is the icing on the cake, that little bit of iceberg sticking out of the water. Supplements can come in pill, powder, or liquid form. Some people will be deficient in vitamin D depending on where you live in the world. Some people will be deficient in omega-3s depending on your diet. You could be a vegan and need to look at some B vitamins. There are always going to be a few red flags to watch out for with supplements. As we said, they can be beneficial, but if they fall into this category, run away from them. Okay, the first one, is it designed to replace real food? Are you buying a product and told to replace food with it for the next 7 to 14, however many days, replacing real food? It's never what we're supposed to do. Remember, the human body was designed to eat real food. Does it have a heavy sales pitch behind it? Is it saying this is the only way you're going to get real results? We are the absolute best. So if it says anything like that, it's probably best to stay away. Does it focus on aesthetic changes? So it might have a picture of a lady in a bikini or a guy with a shredded six-pack. If it's just focusing on that again, you should probably stay clear. Is the cost of this product prohibiting you from eating real food? So many people will do this. They'll go and spend all their money on supplements rather than buy good quality real food. We cannot stress this enough. Look back at that hierarchy. The food that you buy is the most important thing. Do not waste your money on crappy supplements that don't even necessarily have good research behind them. We'll talk about this later in modules.
So what's next? So with all of this said, it's about increasing your adherence. So follow this presentation, and then what we're going to do is jump across to the next one, which is all about increasing your adherence and learning how to create your ultimate sustainable new lifestyle. So we will see you soon.